Let's just talk about what happened yesterday in the afternoon. I did not hear all of this because I was listening on the Fox News Radio app, and I went into the subway, and it cut out for all of it. I did not hear when the president walked out, to the surprise of many, and gave his hour-long plus press conference about the shutdown, the debt limit that we were about to hit, and the shutdown that was ongoing, and his refusal to talk or be held hostage, which is his words, by the Speaker and the Republicans in the House. I did not hear one difficult question. One question that would be, I guess, a welcome opportunity for the president to explain his position of not negotiating and using historical precedent to define why he is not negotiating with anybody in Congress.
Well, Mark Knoller of CBS Radio actually asked a good question at one point where he said, well, what about all these funding measures that the Republicans have passed to go ahead and fund veterans and national parks and the NIH and stuff like that? And he essentially just punted on that, swatted that away with
so many other
talking
questions.
Well, yeah, the talking points, sure.
Nobody asked a single question about the Affordable Care Act, which was interesting. And as you look at him right there in the briefing room, on the front row are all the TV reporters. He did not take a single question from any TV reporter. Instead, he asked questions from people in rows 3 through 7. And then when you could tell the huffing and puffing of people who were thinking, wait a minute. You normally ask me questions. He said, quote, I'm just going through my list, guys. Talk to Jay Carney. Well, who runs things over at the White House, Jay Carney or the president?
Well, I'm sure. And Carney was smiling. Evidently, people are upset that Jay Carney's upset that he's getting such a hard time from people at the press conference, like Jonathan Karl, like Chuck Todd, like Ed Henry. Not a hard time. These are direct questions. For example, the president comes out and says there's no history, there's no precedent for asking for negotiating on the debt ceiling. He's flat out wrong. In '85 and 2011, he did. In '85, Reagan did. In '97, Clinton did. Why couldn't one of those questions have come up? And if I'm the president, I'd want that question because I still don't know why he voted for the debt ceiling not to be raised in 2006. And it was raised.
Yeah, and he promised he didn't want to do that. You know, there was no question on Obamacare. There were no questions about the idea that a bipartisan committee was suggested by Republicans to come forward and deal with this. And there was no question about the rhetoric that's been thrown around. I mean, we have the leader of the free world using language to describe Republicans in the House trying to get something done, saying hostage, insane, ransom, nuclear bomb, chaos, disaster. I mean, the scare tactics here with language alone, is this the same president that just after Tucson, remember the press conference that was given when President Obama said this culture of hate should not be created. He actually thought that the culture of hate and description and divisiveness that's going on created what happened in Tucson for a moment, a lot of people thought. And here he is using rhetoric that, I mean, is terrible to describe our own nation. And shouldn't peace start at home? Shouldn't peacemaking start in your own house, literally?
That is such a good point, but he's aiming his rhetoric at the House. He is angry at the House, and they are simply standing on principle.
It was just a bad day for Washington.
Well, you know,
yesterday.
Brian,
nothing happened.
You know what, Brian? You might blame one of the reasons that the president jumped over the first row asking questions, and that is that, you know, suddenly mainstream media is talking about, well, it's both sides to blame, because the White House would prefer, well, it's just those darn Republicans. No, the blame is going over everywhere, and the president doesn't like it.
So tweet us. What questions did you want asked yesterday? We'll read them out loud. We'll try to share them with you. And that is at Fox and Friends or at us individually. Meanwhile, Heather.